welcome back to another video on Namaste Naudia. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you are feeling free. I don't know if you are someone who struggle with your sense of self, with abuse, with your past, with your trauma, but I am here for you. A lot of times life throws us curveballs that knocks us off our feet and out of our paths. But there is always an opportunity to get back up. You can find yourself after abuse, betrayal, and after anything that you have experienced. You are brave, you are equipped, and you are loved. So be your best self every day and pick the low-hanging fruit and treat yourself kindly. Let's get into this video. Hi, my name is Naudia Samuels, and I have been sexually abused.
Not perfect, so I try every day and I grow a little bit. Read a little more so I can educate my kids. Eat from my soul and cleanse my spirit. Pray cause I'm ready for the bloom of the city. Some serenity is all that I need.
So family, I'm talking about something a little touchy today, and please, if this is too triggering for you and you cannot watch it, please click off and go watch any one of my other videos, okay? You deserve to deal with things on your own time, and you do not have to watch this video if you feel that it will trigger negative or unhealthy emotions in you as of this moment. All right, but if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And today I want to talk about dating as a woman who has been abused. Now, I feel like this topic is not talked about enough, honestly, and I want to use my channel to empower people, to encourage them, and also give them support in my own special little way. I am young, Black, a woman, and Christian, and I think that this is something that, even if we don't have all the answers, that we should discuss. I have been in a couple relationships, and it has not been easy to navigate those relationships as somebody who has been sexually abused. More importantly, dating someone who does not know how to date someone who has been sexually abused. So I just wanted to share some realities and also some tips about dating if you're a survivor of abuse. I promise I won't make it depressing. So I think that when you're dating someone, abuse shows up in a lot of different ways. Now, it can change someone's personality. It can change the way they dress, the way they see themselves. It can lower their self-esteem. It can also create some negative habits or mindsets, even worldviews. It's important to understand that the person who has survived abuse, even though they have survived it, it's still a part of them, and they in their own way would have to unfold meaning to heal from it. So this might be different for different people because everybody handles abuse differently, but I'm gonna just tell you from my perspective and what happened for me. A lot of the men who I dated, none of them ever asked about me being abused. If you're dating someone and they mention that they have been abused, I really think it's important to ask them how they feel about it, or simply asking them things like, okay, is there anything that I could do, or is there something that I shouldn't do that might make you uncomfortable? Like, I feel like that's important questions to ask. And to me, when a guy didn't ask that, it was always a red flag.
Red flag.
Not that he has to be some like psychological expert, but just simple manners. You know, I tell you, listen, this happened to me.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, what you want me to do something about it?
What about, wow, I'm sorry to hear that. You're a strong person for surviving it. Is there something I should know, like how I should carry myself around you? Is there something that you don't specifically like? What are your triggers?
I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get.
Like, I don't have to talk about what happened to me in order for us to talk about how it affected me. You know what I mean? Like, most people, when they hear you was abused, they're asking questions like, oh, how, why, when, who, which is really having you recount a traumatic event. Like, sir, the questions that you, or lady, sir or lady, the questions that you should be asking are, what are your triggers? What are your safe words? What is your safety plan? So for those who don't know, a safety plan is something that people who are struggling with either a mental illness or just going through crisis or a hard time, or regular people, for in case of a crisis, plan something that would help them to calm down, calm their nerves, to bring themselves down to a safe mental space, or even safe environmentally. Let's say I am managing my anxiety, right? If I make a safety plan, it will say something like, number 1, talk to my mom. Number 2, burn some candles. Number 3, go for a walk. These are all things that are going to bring me down from crisis to functioning. And that's what a safety plan is about. And if you're dating somebody, you should know their safety plan, so that when they're hyperventilating or having a panic attack, you're not trying to shove water down their throat or give them a hug, when really on their plan says, take some time alone. So I think that's one of the most important things. And I think if you are somebody who have experienced abuse, and I'm not saying that every guy who does not ask about your abuse is a jerk, but I'm saying to look inside yourself, and you can tell when somebody is genuinely inquiring, or if they just don't care. Like, everybody handles things in different ways. There might be some people who just after they hear about it, they just can't talk about it. But maybe, you know, after you tell them, they ask you questions before they do something. You know, if they get too close, they say, is this okay? All these things are actions of someone who is mindful of your experience. So when you're dating, you want somebody to be mindful of your experience. There's not enough people in the world who know how to support a partner who has been abused. One thing that you can do as the survivor is educate people that you're in a relationship with. We don't know if it's going to work out, but at least they will be able to go into another relationship cognizant of how to treat the partner who may or may have not been abused. A statistic that I learned a long time ago, I don't know if it's still valid, is that 1 in 4 women are abused. So if you have 4 sisters, the chances are that one of them have been abused. So it's like, dang, it's not gonna hurt you to know how to deal with it. You're gonna have some woman in your life at some point, or some man in your life at some point. Like, people always talk about the statistics being low for men, but it's only low because men are less likely to report abuse. So we can't go around thinking that it doesn't happen to them, because it does. I think it's really important, as someone who has survived abuse, to be in therapy. A lot of things that happen when you're dating, I know for me personally, sometimes I overreact to some things that are normal because of my abuse, and it changed my mindset and the way I perceive events. So it's important to have somebody to bounce those scenarios and ideas off of, not family who are not trained or have a biased point of view, but a therapist who's able to say, well, okay, did you view that in the right way? You know, to basically be a sounding board for things that are happening in your relationship, and they will be kept concealed and private. So as the survivor, I think it's important to have that support system, you know? Say, oh, I went on a date, and true story, true story, I went on a date and a guy tried to kiss me and I was offended. Now, I am normally not someone who's offended for that. You try to kiss me, I'm offended. What? You don't try to kiss me, I'm offended. Like, have you seen me? Anyways. Yeah, so he tried to kiss me and I was offended, and through talking it out with myself, because at the time I didn't have a therapist, and I realized that I was offended because of a small minor action that this young man did. You know, when somebody's holding your hand, but like, there's different ways to hold hand. There's this way, there's this way, and I guess this way. I don't know. But he was holding my hands, and as you know me, as you've gotten to know, that I am not that affectionate. I mean, I've gotten better, but we're talking about the past here. I wasn't affectionate. So I'm holding hands for manners at this point, and my hands are a little bit sweaty because his hands are sweating because I'm so hot. And I kind of just like, okay, I'm like, okay, like, it was nice, but can we stop? And then what he did was grab my hands here. Now, this right here, it depends on the situation. It can sometimes be a trigger for me, because when I was abused, that is what the person who abused me did. When I tried to stop, they grabbed my wrist and they pushed it away. So the way he grabbed my wrist triggered me, and I didn't know that. So when he tried to kiss me, I was disgusted, bro. And it in turn made me turned off, and I basically ghosted him after that, never talked to him. And I brought that up to say, like, this guy could have been a nice guy, but because I didn't have nobody to sound this off of, and I only had myself, so it took me about 2 weeks to figure out, it was too late by that time. And what probably would have been a relationship or at least a couple of dates turned out to be a disaster, because I, at the time, was unable to identify that new trigger, and I did not have anybody to discuss it with. And this is how important having a therapist is, and somebody to talk to. I advocate a lot for therapy on my videos because I do it and I have done it and it works. And therapy is not only for crisis, and therapy is not only for people who are living with mental illness. Therapy is for everyone. So I think that one of the tips for someone who has survived abuse is to have a therapist. Another thing is that if you're dating someone who has been abused, not only is it important to ask questions, not only is it important to be open and receptive to this person teaching you what are their triggers and what they like and what they dislike, but it's important to take the initiative to educate yourself. Like, one time I was dating someone who had depression, and I took the initiative upon myself to research about depression, research what are good things to do as somebody who's supporting someone with depression. How should I react with certain things? What are the behaviors and things like that, highs, lows, all of that. I took it upon myself because I was interested in a future or a relationship with this person. So if you're interested in somebody who has been abused, it's important to take that initiative and say, let me go see. Because everybody's symptoms not the same, but it has some general symptoms that we all experience that are related. So take time and do that. If you really care about this person, you really want to get to know this person. What is so hard about just taking 5 minutes? I mean, we have Google. You don't have to read any books. You don't have to try too hard. Just take the time to, educate yourself. Another thing that is important to me is that if someone's been abused, they don't want you to look at them like they're some like poor soul who just needs somebody to take care of them. That's not the case. The abuse is not defining us, but it's part of who we are. So nobody needs you to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and to take it easy on us, and to no. What we need you to do is be educated and to be mindful and to be yourself. That's it. Do not try to change and walk on eggshells, because that looks more like pity than compassion. We don't want your pity.
Hell no. No.
So be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. When you're dating someone who has been abused, be yourself. And when you have been abused and you're dating someone, listen to this. Listen to this because it's a big one. Communicate. Really, like, you could have somebody who's so open, so receptive, so understanding, so compassionate, so empathetic, but if you're not saying anything, baby, they're not going to know. So let's say you're this person, you've been abused, you survived your abuse, you've healed from your abuse, you're giving speeches on your abuse, you are educating the masses, honey, you are empowering, you are serving up everything. When you have a trigger, you know. Matter of fact, you know when the trigger is coming. But if you cannot say to the person that you're with, hey, I'm being triggered, what good is knowing? You have to be able to say, hey, this is triggering me right now. I need a minute. Or I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Can we so. It's all a part of it. Dating is not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy, but it's important for you to communicate your feelings. So use your safety plan, but communicate that you need to do. Don't listen, this is one of the most famous things. Don't get triggered and be like, listen, you know what? I'm triggered. I got to go. No, you need to take a moment to say to the person that you are dating, that you like, that you probably love, hey, that triggered me, can I just go to the bathroom for 5 minutes or take a walk outside for 5 minutes? I'll be right back. That's communicating. And everybody's not going to be down with that, but there's going to be somebody who's going to be down with that for you. So you just work on that. Work on it, work on it, work on it. Work on it. The last thing I want to talk about is sex. And I think it's important to bring up because people who have been sexually abused can sometimes have a weird relationship with sex or with the gender of the person who has abused them. So, ooh, whoa. So, right now, I'm practicing celibacy, but I have had sex, and I've never had a guy say to me, listen, I know you've been abused. What is there that I can do? No. And I really want to put this out there because I want to put it out there for men, not because I'm being biased, but because I'm a woman and I can only speak from a woman's point of view. I hope that men will be able to relate, but I'm gonna have to speak from my point of view. I'm sorry. So as a woman, you expect us to perform in the bedroom, but you have no consideration as to how the bedroom could be seen as a battlefield or as a trigger or as a scar, a painful reminder. You know, I think it's important to be sensitive to that. You're going to get to a point where your partner will trust you enough to not be triggered, but you know, it has a process that it has to work through before you just expect this person to act like nothing has ever happened to them, to act like their abuser was 6'1" and they fell in love with a man who's also 6'1". You know, if you don't think about that with your partner, you should. And if you have a partner who's been sexually abused and you haven't asked them anything about it, you should. Remember, not why, when, how, what, but we're asking things like, what are your triggers? What can I do to make you comfortable? What is it that you don't want me to do? I have been in relationships where people did not bother to ask, how is this making me feel? And what it does to some people, what it did to me, was make me numb. So a lot of people cannot see the beauty of sex or what it's supposed to be. And my prayer is that as I go into marriage and I embark on that with my future husband, is that I'm able to regain the value of it and redefine what it means to me. So it's important to ask the person that you're dating constantly. And it's not in a badgering way or a nagging way, but in a supportive, understanding, inquiring way to make sure that this person is okay and you and them are on the same page. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes communication. So when you are navigating dating, if you haven't gotten to it and you're getting to it soon, if you are smack in the middle of it, if you are already in a relationship, these are all still useful tips that you can use to either maintain and preserve a healthy relationship or to build a proper relationship with someone else. this can even be helpful advice for you to end a toxic relationship. So I hope that you take this advice and you really use it for your benefit and to help someone else. If you have somebody in your family who has been abused, or if you have a friend who has been abused, send them this video so that they can, one, know that they're not alone and it has somebody to support them, but two, they can get some insight on what it is really to be dating with a past history of sexual abuse. Remember that you handle your abuse in your own way, and how you choose to navigate it is your decision. Take as much time as you need to heal from it, but also be very open to those who want to support you. A lot of people who have been abused are closed off and want to create barriers and be guarded, but it's important to let healing into your life and be open and receptive to the people who are here to support and help you. I'm so thankful for you watching this video. I'm happy to have you here, and thank you for being a part of my family. Until next time.